Whenever Pharaoh wanted to prolong the period of slavery in Egypt, he had a favorite formula for doing it. What was that? He kept the slaves fighting among themselves.
Soon there will only be the conquered and the conquerors.
Step into the spotlight.
You are a good man.
Step into the spotlight.
With a good heart. And it's hard for a good man to be a king.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. And President Clinton, thank you for your very kind introduction, although I have to admit, I really did like the speech a few weeks ago a little bit better. Afterwards, somebody tweeted that somebody needs to make him Secretary of Explaining Things. Although they didn't use the word things. And today I want to discuss an issue that ought to concern every person, because it is a debasement of our common humanity. It ought to concern every community, because it tears at our social fabric. It ought to concern every business, because it distorts markets. It ought to concern every nation, because it endangers public health and fuels violence and organized crime. I'm talking about the injustice, the outrage of human trafficking, which must be called by its true name, modern slavery. Now, I do not use that word slavery lightly. It evokes, obviously, one of the most painful chapters in our nation's history. But around the world, there's no denying the awful reality. When a man desperate for work finds himself in a factory or on a fishing boat or in a field, working, toiling for little or no pay and beaten if he tries to escape, that is slavery. When a woman is locked in a sweatshop or trapped in a home as a domestic servant, alone and abused, and incapable of leaving, that's slavery. When a little boy is kidnapped, turned into a child soldier, forced to kill or be killed, that's slavery. When a little girl is sold by her impoverished family, girl's my daughter's age, runs away from home, or is lured by the false promise of a better life, and then imprisoned in a brothel and tortured if she resists, that's slavery. It is barbaric, and it is evil. It has no place in a civilized world. Now, as a nation, we've long rejected such cruelty. Just a few days ago, we marked the 150th anniversary of a document that I have hanging in the Oval Office, the Emancipation Proclamation.
And I've got the Emancipation Proclamation hanging up in my office. And if you read through it, turns out that most of the document is those states and areas where the emancipation doesn't apply because those folks are allied with the Union, so they can keep their slaves. Think about that. That's the Emancipation Proclamation, right? So here you've got a wartime president who's making a compromise around probably the greatest moral issue that the country ever faced, because he understood that right now my job is to win the war and to maintain the Union. Well, can you imagine how sort of the Huffington Post would have reported on that? Right? I mean, it would have been blistering, right? I mean, think about it. Lincoln sells out slavery, right? There'd be protests, and we're going to run a third-party guy.
fact, I heard Martin Luther King say this one time. We were in Virginia, and we were on the balcony of an old plantation. It was a conference center where we were having a conference, and they set us in these rocking chairs out on the porch, and we were looking out, and it just happened that there were students from University of Virginia who were doing the serving and who were cutting the grass, and it was a good summer job. And Dr. King and I and a few other preachers were laying up there drinking iced tea and rocking back and forth. Look, he said, you know, I can see that when you're sitting up here, slavery don't look so bad.